Okay. Goal today is to get some hit animations and stagger animation. So when the player gets hit, there's an animation that kind of shows him getting hit, as well as if he takes a big hit or like he, I guess, loses all his stamina, or takes a big hit, he staggers, and then if he loses all his stamina, he needs to like kind of stop and like breathe heavily as the stamina meter regains, kind of like a monster hunter. Yeah, let's get started here. Hey, Make. Thanks for the follow, dude. Appreciate it. Thanks, Make. It's been a couple of months, but yeah, we're well on our way. Hopefully, if you want to check out some of the old stuff, it's available on YouTube. The last week's worth of streams are also available on Twitch and the Twitch VOD as well. Yeah, we are all well on our way now. I appreciate the follow. Nice, dude. Yeah, I do the same thing. Basically, second screen, somebody else working. Yeah, I try to avoid too much music because I get too into music sometimes. But I find if I second screen another person kind of working along, I feel like I'm working along with them. So. So what are you working on? You're working on animation? Are you working on a game? Or you're just at work? Oh, nice, dude. Yeah, I've do you mind? Is it a multiplayer fight? Is it like a Street Fighter style kind of fighting game? Like a Virtua Fighter or something like that? I mean, if you don't mind sharing or talking about it at least. But if you got to keep it to yourself, I understand. Ah, cool. Yeah, I thought of doing like a 3D fighter as well too, but more kind of in the Street Fighter I don't know if you've ever played a game called Power Stone. It's an old game by Capcom. I don't know if they still make them, but it came out in like I think the late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah, I'm surprised they never. I guess 3D fighting games are a bit difficult to work the same way like a Street Fighter game would work, right? So that's cool though. I like. We've been basically building systems as well too. So we actually haven't actually started building the game per se. We have been building the inventory, the combat, the AI, all the AI kind of behaviors and stuff like that. So we intend to do the game afterwards. Hey Samantha, how's it going? Still working on your animation today? Are you back into physics, or what are you working on today? I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I wanted to stream yesterday, but the weather was just so bad. I know it sounds weird that, oh, you can stream because of the weather, but in fact, it was actually true because we have wildfires going on right now, and they're really bad, and they caused a smog basically to kind of flow across Toronto and basically block out the sun, and it created like basically it creates basically what is like a heat blanket. So the temperature went up to 47 degrees yesterday with humidity. It was 40 or 42 degrees, and then 40 or 47 with humidity. And on top of that, it was wildfire smog smoke, so it was not healthy air breathing. So I just felt terrible yesterday. It was actually weather that was bad enough to affect my ability to breathe. So awesome, dude. Yes, please feel free to stop by anytime you want, Make. If you want to just sit and lurk and kind of let it be ambiance for while you work, I'm happy to entertain that. Yeah. We're safe. We're starting to. This is actually starting to become a regular occurrence here. Heat waves have always been a pretty regular thing in this part of the country, so we're not unused to heat events. But the wildfires are sort of new. I mean, we get them, but they've never been this bad before. Like it literally blacked out the sun yesterday. I got up in the morning and it was it's usually pretty bright out by like 9 a.m. By 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, it's pretty bright out in the summertime. And it seemed like I was standing in the middle of an eclipse or something like that, because it was really dark outside. And I go outside and it's just orange. The sky is orange. Everything in the distance is just it's like looking at a sepia toned photograph. It was so bad. Yeah, it was really bad yesterday. So I just basically closed the windows, but it was still seeping in because I live in a condo, so the building itself pipes air from the outside, so it smelled like burnt wood everywhere. Yeah, it just put me out of the mood to do any sort of streaming, just because I was like having difficulty. I wouldn't say it was having difficulty breathing, but you could feel the extra whatever your body is trying to do when it's trying to breathe in those conditions. Are you still working on the that scene that you were showing off? It'd be cool if you made like, you don't have to animate the whole thing, but it'd be cool if it was just like a little bit alive, like it's like a held frame, but you can kind of see the gun thing. Maybe like she's kind of like very focused down you know, down her sights. I don't know. Well, please show me when you do finish working on it, because I think it's from what I saw, it was looking pretty badass, even as just like a piece of illustration, right? Okay, push that a little bit further. Yeah. I think there is a way to do it. I know there's a way to do it on Steam Deck. I customized my Steam Deck with custom banners and custom whatever I guess the cards. It looks like the game box. But you can completely customize the visuals on a Steam Deck, which I'm assuming that means you should be able to do it for the Steam app as well. Oh, I didn't know you could use animated PNGs as well. That's pretty cool. Although I would imagine it starts to chew up some memory. If you It's weird because 2D graphics they take up a lot of memory. At least more memory than you would think they would. In some cases, in the game, the 2D textures are bigger than the FBX files. Really? I didn't know that. I thought PNGs were a lesser compression than GIFs. We used to use PNGs professionally because they could store a lot of information. You could store 16-bit and 32-bit data into a PNG. Maybe it's a specific type of image codec. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the file formats. I use PNGs for the most part, but I don't know what the standards for gaming is, but the standards for film and television, film and series and commercials and that business was EXR. You're working on an idle right now as your animation is causing your Blender to crash, you think? Usually when I animate, yeah, definitely. I usually turn off most of the modifiers that I don't need for visual, anything that's going to affect it visually, right? So I try to work as low res as possible and with as few modifiers turned on, because I like to be able just to hit the play button and be able to get a playback right away. You can't always do this in my situation because it's ultra low poly. I can get away with it, and I think even by the time I'm working on my short, I'll have to do viewport renders to see the playback properly. I mean, I'm rendering at a different frame rate or animating at a different frame rate for the short than I am for this too. So. Yeah, you won't be. I mean, it all depends, like, on your on what you got displayed, right? So you could clear out a lot of the stuff that you don't need, and just keep the animation going. Hopefully, the resolution or the geometry resolution of your model isn't too heavy as well. But Blender should be able to handle quite a bit. And again, it's all question of deformations as well too. So the more complicated your deformations, if you got shape keys, all those things start to add more weight to the calculations per frame. So. I mean, definitely turn off the hair while you're animating. If you don't necessarily need the hair right away. So maybe definitely turn off the hair. Yeah, when I'm usually playing with physics, and especially things like hair, I try just to work with a smaller chunk of hair first, as opposed to like just trying to get a whole head working right out of the gate. Just because you don't know I don't know what's going on, so I like to break it down piece by piece. I get one bundle of hair kind of working, and then I see, okay, I'm able to manipulate all the settings there. Now I can replicate it. But again, I'm still keeping it the cluster pretty low, and then I can crank it up later, or the density. So I try to work low density. It just feels a bit weird at first because it almost looks like the person's like losing hair. It gives it that balding quality to it, which, especially if you're working on female characters, can feel unattractive. But such is the nature of 3D animation. If you don't have the memory to crank out all those frames right out of the gate, then we find other ways to work. I will be, but not when I'm close to finishing. We're actually starting to we have a few things that we want to resolve first. Like we have an idea for the game because we were doing like an open world survival kind of Souls-like idea, but that might change as once we solidify the idea and what our game loop is going to look like. And I don't like describing it as a game loop, but it's the simplest way for people to understand. But once we have the concept of the game loop kind of working, that's when we'll start actually piecing together steps towards building devlogs for the game. Right now, we're just building systems, So right now, and it's part of our learning process as well too, because we're pretty new to Unreal. We've only been using it since I think we started working with it last year, last August. Um, so we've been in it for about a year. But there's still a pretty significant learning process for us. So we don't want a devlog when we're not confident, at the very least in the design of what we're talking about. I understand that, once you start, once you start, I don't know. The point is, things there might change right now. So putting out a devlog is premature at our current stage, but we're definitely not going to wait till late in the game, because the idea, at least from a marketing standpoint, is to try to generate a community and an audience as we build the game, and at least get some help and from them to kind of give us feedback on whether or not the feature set looks like it's something that they want to try. And certainly we're going to be doing play testing. Will I be posting it on that channel? Probably not. I think my brother and I want to do a separate channel for the game. That channel, my YouTube channel, I think is mainly kind of my own endeavor in terms of like art. But it was a nice overlap to give me something to kind of get started with that channel. So that's why there's a lot of my gaming art endeavor is kind of contained in that channel. But I will be posting actual videos of other things as opposed to just live streaming on that channel. I suppose I just wanted some activity on the channel. I don't know. But yeah, hopefully that answers. It's a long-winded answer for. Yes, we will be sharing some stuff eventually, earlier than later. This gentleman looks so off. You don't see her face much, but can I send it to you to take a look? Yes, send it over. All right, let me take a look. Cool. So the reason it's feeling stiff is because it's all happening at the same time, right? So the eyes closing, the mouth closing. What you want to do is you want to break up that timing. There's a nice moment where she kind of squints, and that's really nice. But when we shut our eyes, it happens pretty quickly. You can't really close your eyes very slowly, right? You can squint, which pushes those muscles. It's flexing those muscles around it. But trying to close your eyes very slowly, it's actually pretty difficult. Give it a try, right? You'll find it almost clicks in stages, right? And then you'll never actually see when your eyes are closed because your eyes are closed. But the point is, blinks happen a little bit quicker, right? So they shouldn't, like, when I do a blink, I do it over 2 or 3 frames, right? If it's a blink. If it's a squint, that's a different thing, right? That's a completely different musculature apparatus driving what's happening in around your, with the muscle there is called the orbicularis oculi. It's they're like they are in fact sphincter muscles, and they're designed to contract contract in a very nuanced way. But the way your eye blinks, that's a different muscle, right? So when your eyes blink, it actually happens much quicker. So just try it. Just try moving your keys up and shortening the distance it takes to blink. So you can do that squint, which feels really nice. That squint feels really nice. But then you want to add, if you want to add a little blink in afterwards, pop down just over 2 or 3 frames, blink, right? And then you can hold that for maybe another 2 or 3 frames. You hold that, and you can even crush other things in around it, right? So if you think about the blink as the driver, and then some other muscles kind of push in after, right? So you blink almost like, so depending on how hard you want it. So it's a standard blink, you're not going to get a lot of musculature coming in after the here, let me draw it for you. It's easier if I okay, so you have your eye, oops, right? So when your eye goes down and blinks, right, there's the brow muscle right here will start to come down with it, right? So if you, let's here, let me, so you have your brow here. So these muscles want to come down depending on how hard you're going to blink, right? And everything kind of crushes in, right? So there's like all that musculature underneath wants to push in as well. So you can really exaggerate a blink, or you can just have a really very casual blink, right? All of the different types of blinks communicate different things, right? So give it a try, but keep the blink itself relatively short. You can hold it longer, but the longer you hold it, the more you want to start moving the stuff around it, right? Just because you don't want the blink to happen in a vacuum. You want to feel like musculature is driving that animation, and all the musculature underneath is pushing in. So your cheek is going to come up. So I can do a regular blink, right? And then I can blink and then crush, right? And push all that stuff down to really, and right now she's kind of furrows. She's doing this thing where she kind of looks for, she furrows down and then squints. And then you can, I would make it quick. So it's down on 1 or 2 frames, and then hold it for 1 or 2 frames, maybe 1 or 2 frames, and then back up. You can go a little bit slower going back up. The eyes can open slow, but they don't like to close slow. There's a great book on the topic if it's something that you're really, really interested in. And if you, I'm quite certain if you're resourceful enough, you could probably find it somewhere online. But I'm not an advocate of not paying for things. So, you know, it's called Stop Staring. Let me see if I can pull it up here. It's this book. It's called Stop Staring. All I'm saying, it's a cheap book, right? But you can find it online in places in the darker corners of the internet. If you feel so inclined. Right now there is 2 of us. It's just me and my brother working on it right now. So yeah, there's just two of us. Yeah, I think what we want to do is we want to start putting out the devlogs once we have all the systems kind of working. And then once we know what the game is going to kind of the general loop of the game. So we are actually planning, we're having discussions over the next couple of weeks about what the gameplay and what we actually want the players to actually do in the world. Now that we have an inventory system sort of working, we have an equipment system sort of working, we have a combat system sort of working, we have a health system sort of working. Now we're introducing all the other survival components like stamina, food, water, temperature. Once we kind of have all that working, we want to see if the game we're kind of designing is actually starting to feel quote unquote fun, right? That includes the combat and all the other things that we want to do. We haven't done any resource gathering yet, but that's not too much of a step away. I think that's more of an evolution of the combat system, as weird as it sounds. Yeah, I want to be able to tell people what we're trying to do versus like, here's our idea, but we don't actually have anything yet. So just worried we don't actually have anything to talk about besides here's some cool stuff that we've done. Oops. I feel blessed to have a second person. That's where I've been kind of working on my own projects for a long time, and I'll shelf my solo projects to work with on group projects, just because I prefer working with other people. That's why my short film has been a slow build. It's going, but it's just taking a lot longer than I expected it would to be, just because when you're doing everything yourself, you have to do everything yourself. Because my brother he's really good at what he does. He's competent. He just kind of does it, right? Like it's just really nice. It's refreshing because I've worked with groups where not every group member is gonna pull their weight, and this could cause a lot of problems, right? Because you can't force people. There's no consequence for not doing the work, right? When you're working on your own project and you're trying to actually do something professional with it, there's no consequence for not showing up, right? It's either you do or you don't, right? If you don't, you screw everybody else in your team, and if they're your friends, what are you gonna do? You're gonna unfriend them? Probably not. So I feel blessed that my brother is as good as he is at his job, and that he's willing to put actual time towards this project. So I don't take that for granted, and I give him as much space and as much breathing room as he wants to, so long as he's doing the thing. Again, I can't force anybody to do this stuff, right? So as the main objective, I still need to decide on the main game mode, but I've got a pretty good idea now. I recommend you plan early, as it can drastically affect your game's systems. You're right. That's why we started designing the game. We were thinking about what games we like to play, and my brother and I are big fans of like Valheim. We're probably gonna get into Enshrouded. We've been getting into Outward, Monster Hunter. So we know we want to build a survival game. Now, whether it's going to be a Souls-like or if it's going to be more of like a zombie thing, that's ultimately what we want to decide. Is like, okay, are we going to make this like this whole adventure where we got to craft bespoke moments and bespoke things? We don't know, but we do know we're doing an RPG, right? We know we're going to be doing an RPG. We know we want these things. So we started designing all those core systems that we know we're going to be using. And then we kind of designed the game out of that, if that makes sense. I don't know if that's the correct approach. Probably not. But again, this is our very first, I guess it's not our first attempt. It's our second attempt. But this is our first game that we're making. So yeah, yeah, like, yeah, exactly. Like we want a game that's kind of like, is it enshrouded where there's going to be a lot of bespoke kind of enemies and moments and things, which that's a lot of work, right? There's a team of people working on Enshrouded. Whereas, you know, a game like Valheim, you're not going to get as much variety, but what you're going to get is more in-depth mechanics and systems. In my opinion, right? And certainly the world is massive in Valheim. But again, it all depends on how many people are going to grow, but we don't want to get caught up in obviously feature creep. We want to have a clear understanding when we actually start to implement all the things that we wanted to implement, a clear understanding of what the game is. And that, for the most part, we don't have that yet, but we do know what systems we are involved in an RPG or Souls-like or a survival. So all these things, they have some overlap. So we start building those systems and then we can ditch them if we want to, right? Like I even thought, because of the way this game was playing, I was even toying with the notion of converting it to a 3D fighting game, just like an arena, kind of like Power Stone, where you just run around this little, you know, but a cleverly designed square room, albeit, but a square room, and you just try to beat each other up, right? My only beef with the only reason we shied away from that immediately is because of the multiplayer aspect. And a game like that, I suppose you can just play with your friends, right? That's cool. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. You can mitigate cheating and stuff like that if you're just playing with your friends, hooking it peer to peer. But I think if you want a fighting game, you want people to be able to meet in a lobby and have matchmaking and all those other things. I mean, I might be wrong, but it seems to me that's the most logical steps that I would be taking towards a fighting game. Is you want to create a kind of like a stable online persistence where you can get into a lobby, you can do matchmaking, and then it just adds another. The reason we didn't do it as our first thing is because it adds like a purely multiplayer game as our first game. Is just because it adds this layer of complexity that we just don't have any understanding of at all, right? We don't even know how to make the game yet, but doing anti-cheat and server hosting and all that other stuff, it's beyond our current understanding of anything in Unreal. So we're just like, okay, we've been programming the game or coding it with multiplayer in mind. So we are factoring everything for multiplayer, but there's no guarantee that it's going to be multiplayer right out of the gate. Just like I said, there's a whole other area of things that we have not even delved into yet, right? Because you can obviously get a plugin that hooks up, your Steam, so that your game can communicate with Steam and use the whatever protocols or whatever access Steam, the API gives access to the networking stuff inside Steam, so that you can, and then if we were going to do anti-cheat, we'd be using like Easy Anti-Cheat or something like that. it just opened up this whole other can of worms. It's just like, we don't want to think about that right now. So, in a game like Valheim, you're typically only going to be playing with your friends, right? It's rare that you're just going to log on to a server with some random dude and start playing with them. Not to say you can't. You can. I just don't think that's the common way that people are going to be playing the game. So yeah. That's sort of why we decided to kind of stay away from like the fighting game. It was just because it introduced this whole other layer of complexity that I don't think either of us were really felt confident enough to tackle just yet. You know what, dude? Like, I don't want to say that. I'm not saying that any of this to discourage you from this at all. Like, what our first game was like, we're gonna do a Souls-like survival game, right? And it's gonna be open world. So there's no shortage of foolish ambition on our side as well, too. And the reality is the scope might get narrowed down as we play. But that's the initial thing. And I think it's important to be a little bit ambitious with your idea, but also to be able to understand how to break down your idea into smaller steps, right? And so that's, I think, the approach that we went with. Well, what's the important things? Well, we need to design all the systems, because no matter what game we make, those systems are going to have to, we're going to have those systems, because we know we're going to do an RPG of some sort, whether it's, like a Souls-like open world or roguelite, where you go into a dungeon and you do a run and you gather some stuff and you get out, and you try to get out without dying. That's very much, but that still requires an inventory system. That still requires the stamina system. That still requires the health system. So by focusing our early work on building systems, I feel like it sets us up to then use those systems or throw those systems out if they're not going to be useful for the game. But it ends up, obviously, we don't want to be doing work that's unnecessary, but while at the same time we're okay with doing unnecessary work, because we're still very much in the learning phase, right? Stephen Eulabert. I don't know too many people by their names yet, but yes, there's definitely some. I'll check that name out. I don't know if you want to link me this YouTube name or whatever channel that you're looking at. But yes, I have been checking out a bunch of guys that specialize in Unreal. And yeah, there's a ton of resources. So there's it is incredible how much information is available. I have actually found it more useful than using Gemini. I found both useful, but I just find the tutorials more overall informative, in spite of the fact that maybe, yeah, they're not giving you the exact information I'm looking for, but it ends up being information that ends up being useful later on. Oh yeah, no, we're totally we're factoring everything for multiplayer, right? So whether like everything that we're doing, when we test the game, we're doing the client server test. We're making sure that everything is factored properly, so that once we do say, okay, let's make this multiplayer, we don't have to refactor the entire game. So because the game effectively works, if it works for multiplayer, it's going to work single player, right? So at least the way we've designed it, based on the way we run the game so far, everything is working, right? So yeah, so the option is single player to expand to multiplayer, but we built it already with the mindset that this is going to be multiplayer. So one of the things the way we wanted to kind of test the game as well is is be able to basically load in. We're going to build a game for myself and my brother, where we can just basically control the characters, spawn in enemies and stuff like that. And then we're just gonna screw around with what we can do inside the world. Whack, you know, take smacks at each other, see if we can beat each other up and kill each other. And then we're approaching it with the idea of being playful. So hopefully the idea is that something potentially emerges out of it, even if it doesn't, right? I don't think it's a terrible way to approach game design, in terms of just playing in a sandbox and then sort of letting the game reveal itself to us based on the systems that we've already have kind of working. It might not work, right? I'm fully prepared that if it doesn't work, we're gonna have to try a different approach. But that's basically what we want to kind of do first. So that's for us. It's I think for my brother as well, because he's using the work he does as part of his portfolio, or his work samples. So when he goes out and applies for work, he has this as a sample, right? So. Cool. I will definitely check that out. Yeah, it was the PvP that originally made us like, we shy away from the thing. But like I said, once we kind of built up a foundation of stuff and we understand how the networking and how all the code works, then I think we can approach it with a little bit more confidence and say, okay, let's add PvP to this game. And then we're kind of messing in a world kind of like DayZ, which really would be the dream, right? Is having like kind of like this Renaissance kind of pre-industrial era zombie survival kind of mutation survival kind of game. I don't know, that sounds very interesting to me too, right? So there's lots of games I think we can build with the foundation. Yeah. So make the the reason we actually started the game as an entirely single player endeavor first, and then it was only through our exploration of, hey, maybe we want to add PvE to this. So we have, co-op, and then, so once I started doing some reading about it, that was in fact the correct, it seems the industry correct approach to do it is to factor it right away for multiplayer. Because if it worked for multiplayer, it will work in single player, right? Because you basically, whatever your play state, you're just not replicating that stuff now. It's just, and you're creating a save state out of it. So I think that it was the correct approach, but it wasn't through just like, oh, this is how we think we should do it. That was a decision made because we did a lot of reading and a lot of homework as to what was involved in making it multiplayer, and then it became down to, well, you're gonna have to refactor all your code. So it's best just to factor it for multiplayer now. Yeah, it's a lot less work while you're doing it than to have to go back and refactor it, because one of the biggest problems that I've bumped into is, so I did a targeting system 6 weeks ago. No, let's say a month ago. I did a targeting system a month ago, and then I switched back to the art, and then now let's say I did it 8 weeks ago. Then I switched back to art, and then 2 weeks after that, I switch back to, and then I go back in and I do the inventory. But now, once I've done the inventory, I go back to art again. Then I realize, oh, maybe I have to make some adjustments to the aiming system, your aiming tracking system. But I forget. I forget all the logic that I used to get to be able to track targets, and I have to kind of almost relearn it in a sense by rereading everything and I've put in all the proper comment lines. But because I'm bouncing back and forth in and out of Unreal, it becomes difficult for me to remember how to do things sometimes. The widgets, UMG was a particularly, like, I'm still in the thick of using the widgets system, the Unreal Motion graphics and stuff like that inside. the inventory system, you know, and it's complicated. It's a lot, and then to kind of not be able to stay there for extended periods of time, I think slows my ability down to learn that particular thing. But that's where the benefit of having my brother code, as he's exclusively coding, so he's doing all of the background stuff, all of these stuff that goes on under the hood. So all of the stuff that I code is going to be the visual stuff, implementing animations, implementing, you know, the meshes, inventory, that stuff. All the stuff that my brother is programming is like, okay, is sorting all that data out, right? Putting the data into an array, and being able to sort that data, being able for me to be able to pull data from that array to populate the inventory or to populate the equipment, and then he's doing the damage table, and then the defense, resistance, all those other little systems he's doing. So none of that stuff he does is actually going to show up right in the center, right? Yes, I heard about you at UMG View model as well. The only reason I'm reluctant is right as now because I'm using like so many pieces of software now that my brain, I'm starting to feel overwhelmed by the amount of software that I have to go through, between Blender, Substance Painter, Unreal, DaVinci Resolve, OBS, Maya, right? Like, and these are not simple pieces. I mean, I guess OBS might be the simplest piece of software, but even still, that's relatively complicated once you start putting in the add-ons and stuff like that. So I've just been feeling a bit overwhelmed with the amount of software packages that I've been but I am trying them. Samantha had suggested to me to try out Instamat, and I will be checking that out this weekend to see if that could benefit our pipeline, our workflow in terms of doing materials. Our materials are really, really simple right now, but it could get more complicated later. So the way I see everything that I'm working on right now is still temp. They're still somewhat temp assets. Why would I invest in time into temp assets? It's because I need to learn the process, right? As I'm trying to learn all the processes from one thing to another. No, but the difference is, Samantha, is if it replaces a piece of software, it's worth looking at, right? So it's not a bad suggestion, because if you're saying that it's like Painter and Designer, and then I can use it like Substance Painter, then, well, that might be something worth exploring, just because there's also a free version of it too. I just don't want you to think that I'm saying, oh no, she's made me look at this piece and just complaining like a I'm not complaining. I just feel a little, it takes time to learn a piece of software, right? So when you start investing into it, it's more kind of, okay, let's take a look and see what this does first, and then see if it's worthy investment. If it is worthy, I will check it out. It's just it just means that now I've traded off whether it's value from, you know, my bank against my bank account, but there's a trade-off, is now it's going to cost me time, right? So. No, I didn't make these rigs. This is actually Auto Rig Pro. The Rigify is awesome. I love Rigify, but there's a couple of extra steps that are required before I can get it into working inside of Unreal properly. Whereas Auto Rig Pro, it kind of just it's just out of the box. And it only cost me, I think, 40, 50 bucks. So I was like, okay, this, if that saves me, believe it or not, like those 2 or 3 extra steps, when you, it's not that big of a deal. It really isn't that big of a deal unless you're going to be doing it repeatedly, right? And in which case that time savings was worth 50 bucks for me. So there are solutions out there right now. I don't know if you're using Blender as well for your game, but CG Dive, he has this entire rigging course on his YouTube channel, and it's phenomenal. And he digs right into all the nitty-gritty parts about Rigify. It's just that there's a few extra steps, and I'm using Rigify for my short, but I'm not using but I'm using Auto Rig Pro for the game. Yes, there's a couple of smaller steps that you need to adhere to just because of the bone structure. There's actually a plugin. So if you do go to CG Dive, check out his channel. There's one specific tutorial about how to get it into Unreal, and it's an actual plugin that can basically take your rig and it builds the proper structured mesh, the proper structured skeleton. It's not that you can't send your Rigify rig over. It's just that you have to make sure the structure adheres to one that Unreal is going to understand. Your naming convention can be whatever, but effectively, so when you grab a bone, right, there'll be a couple of options. So you'll see here the deform. It only sends deformed bones, right? So any controller bones, it doesn't send that stuff over. So it only sends deformed bones. But then it has to be hierarchied properly. So foot has to connect to the shin's got to connect to the thigh, and then thigh's got to connect to the root, right? And then spine, you know, it's head to neck, neck to spine, spine to root. Yeah, it's one of those things you just it's a pain in the butt if you're not too familiar with the little ins and outs of Blender. Auto Rig Pro just does it for me right out of the box. Whereas if you're going to use Rigify, there is a tool. I actually have it installed here, I think. Game Rig tool. Yeah, it's called Game Rig tool. So you basically you get your control rig, and then you generate a game rig out of it, and then it basically copies all your weight. It transfers all the weight over to that game rig. And then you can still control it with the control rig, but it's being deformed by your game rig now. Yeah, it's right. Just even me saying it sounds almost exhaustively complicated. It really isn't. It's just, you know, it's just extra steps. So for us, it was just like, screw it. Let's just spend the 50 bucks. I have never actually used Daz 3D. What is Daz 3D? It's a character creator. That's cool. I mean, I think most of those things will probably work fairly easily, because they're kind of trying to standardize. But yeah, I know you can convert, you can retarget for Rigify pretty easily now, and use your Rigify rigs as control rigs. I mean, Blender's just awesome now. With Maya, you don't have that option right out of the box, right? Like, you do, but you don't, because there's no easy way to do it right out of the box in Maya. Just because unless you know how to set up constraints and reset your targets and stuff like that, it's actually fairly difficult. There are plugins, obviously, and add-ons that are available for Maya, but Blender sort of kind of just, you can kind of get it working right out of the box. There are some steps, but yeah, Blender's been awesome, and I'm a huge advocate, if you guys can't tell. But I encourage everybody, in even the professional space, when I go to work, when I'm at work, when people are asking if it ever comes up, what programs I use to work on hobby stuff, Blender has been amazing. Hey, MigTunes, how's it going, dude? How's work going for you today? Hey, Hussar. Glad you're back from the holiday, dude. Project status is, it's going well. Oh, man, we've got an inventory system. We've got a combat system. The equipment system is working now. It's persisting. So there's been some movement. Make, yes, I was originally a Maya animator. I've been animating in Maya. I'm still a Maya animator technically. But yes, I have been animating in Maya professionally for several years. Around 2019, I decided to start learning Blender. And I've basically deleted Maya from my computer. Professionally, I'm stuck with it. If I could use Blender professionally, I totally would. I think I'm just as capable with Blender and animation as I am with Maya. So I think I could make that jump. But everybody, all the studios that I work for, everybody that I know uses Maya professionally. So I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. Yes, Hussar. It's been it's we got a lot of work done. Maybe I'm gonna have to show you some progress at some point. Today is just getting some hit stuff done with the character. I know you probably came back like, this is still animating this thing. I literally went for vacation a week and a half ago, and you were working on this thing. No, I think I was working in Unreal at that point. But yeah, so I'm back. I'm just doing some hit stuff, but we got actually the comboing, the animation comboing in. Yeah, so it's coming along. Yes, it's just because there's a huge legacy of work that's already built up for Maya, and because we were sort of indentured to Autodesk since they own freaking everything. They even own the website that tracks our productions. It's called the Shot. I don't know what they're calling it right now. Flow. I think they're calling it Flow now, but it used to be called Shotgun, and then they converted it to Shot Grid because I think the Shotgun was too violent of a sounding. In spite, I mean, the whole irony of if you saw the footage inside Shot Grid, you would be like, it's very violent stuff. And then they switched it to Flow. I don't know. We just call it Shot Grid. But it's basically the pipeline tracker for all of our stuff. So they own that as well too, as well as they own Maya, they own 3ds Max, and whatever else is Autodesk has got their hands on now. I don't know. Many Maya animators try Blender and find that I think that's more their Maya brain isn't able to make the transition versus, because I have found the tools and you can get Maya working awesome, but you got to go download Animbot. Animbot is it's one of the, it's like an animator. It's one of the animator's core tools, core plugin tools. There's a couple of tools that are very useful for animators if you're going to animate in Maya, but Animbot, you got to pay a monthly subscription for it now, which sucks. My personal opinion, and this is not to say poo-poo on anybody else's. Everybody's entitled to, if you think Maya is better, so be it. Initially, yes, my initial reaction is I would prefer to animate in Maya. But that's because my muscle memory has been built up over 20 years that the things I do in Maya are second nature to me now. I don't really have to think anymore. I don't have to look at the keyboard. My fingers just tell me to, I've mapped out my Maya keyboard, my Maya hotkeys like I play video games. W or the ASD, A was, well, I've been going every single hotkey, but it's like, for me, it's like playing a video game. It even sounds like, because I'm very clicky when so it's second nature to me. So transitioning over to Blender, because Blender uses a different kind of approach to the way they use the modifier stack versus a history stack. So that's first thing that was a little awkward to me. But once you make that conversion, okay, that's easy, no problem. Number two is the way you navigate in Blender. Yes, you can convert to Blender to work as the industry standard. But I'm gonna tell you, I can tell you one thing right now is I tried that initially and it made it almost impossible for me to learn Blender, because almost every Blender tutorial out there relies on telling you the hotkeys, right? They give you the hotkeys. So I think in the end, I personally think Blender is a better tool for straight out of the box animation. If we're talking the software package as you download it, as it exists when you install it, I prefer Blender and the tools that are available in Blender, right? So one of the big things, so like Anabot does is like, so let's say I want to rotate my foot from here. Let's say for whatever reason, I don't have a toe pivot control, right? So traditionally what you would have to do is you would have to do that, and then you would roll and then move that foot here. The 3D cursor is sort of like an Anabot tool where it pins a constraint down, right? And I can basically say in Blender, hey, I just want to rotate from here instead. And then bang, I've got that rotation there now, right? That's not immediately available. Something like this is not immediately available in Blender or in Maya, right? Where, like I said, this is built in. So this little 3D cursor is a huge, huge boon to Blender. There are some things that I do find a little bit quirky in terms of like looking up the values and changing values in Blender to change broad strokes, whatever in Maya, whatever I've selected. And if I change the value, that value gets piped in. Whereas it's not necessarily the case in Blender. It's whatever you have actively selected, unless you do a specific command like Alt Enter to then say, I want this replicated out to everything I've selected, Alt Enter. So there's these weird little nuanced differences between the two. But once you get past that, I think it all feels pretty much the same. It's really, it's just Blender takes a little slightly different route to get to the same place that Maya does. I don't think it's actually better or worse. I just think there are some tools in here that work better for what I want to do, and that I've spent the last 6 years now learning Blender, so it's become, the muscle memory issue has become a lot less. That, and I work exclusively in Blender on a Cintiq, right? So I'm working in a very specific way so that it breaks that connection that I have with the muscle memory with Maya. Yeah, it's just, yeah, there's Maya is very, it's very, look, Blender can do it too. It's just the reason Blender hasn't made its way into the industry stand is because we've been using Maya since the early 2000s, right? So it has this massive legacy of work that we just can't get rid of right now because it's there. We need it still. One day, if we start a transition and it will become slowly obsolete. The reality is now with the USD becoming more and more popular, it's now, I think it's going to become less and less of an issue because rigs are started, like the way we communicate from one software to a packet to another software packet, it's becoming more and more standardized. I think the way the future looks is basically you can use whatever software package you want, right? We've almost kind of got to that state with Olympic caching. The only problem with Olympic cache is that it's just incredibly expensive on resources in terms of like storing it, because it basically caches all the geometry data. But it's a solution. It's a potential solution. Yeah, I think the price point is what really gets most people into Blender. It's like, how much does Maya cost? Oh, that's going to cost you $250 a month Canadian. And how much does Blender cost? Nothing. Doesn't cost you anything, just your time. It's a pretty good selling point for what this thing can do, what this software can do. It's I mean, it's a no-brainer for me. But again, I think what keeps Maya relevant certainly is the people who already know it and all of the stuff we've already done for it. Yeah, I think USD once this propagates out of the big studios and lands in smaller studios, I think what you're gonna, and because it just makes sense, right? Use the tool that you're best at using, that you're most comfortable using, and then you just push that data, right? This is all just data. The only difference is we just need to standardize the data so that it doesn't matter what software package you're using, you're manipulating things and being able to convert that data into USD or to a usable state. But that does mean, like, if you could share a rig from Maya into Blender and vice versa, right? If there's some way to make that conversion happen through the USD pipeline, you could basically then allow artists to use whatever tools is necessary for them to use, in an ideal world, right? All right, guys, I'm gonna take a short break. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Mick, thank you for the follow, and thanks for popping by today, dude. I appreciate the support. I try to stream pretty regularly, so feel free to pop by anytime you want. Thanks again for popping by, dude. Appreciate it. Have a great night, dude. Made some more changes. Let's see them. Send them on over. No hair this time. Yeah. Yeah. It helps, right? Just to get everything kind of moving in slightly different timing. The mouth closes at a different time, the eyes close at a different time. It just feels a little bit more natural now that the blink happens a little bit quicker. So you get the little the squint. It's really nice too. You even got little eye direction. Like you can't actually see the irises or the pupils, but you can feel the eye pops, the eye change, the eye direction changes. Really nice touch. Really nice touch. Looks great, dude. Yeah, no, it feels much better now because when things when you move things slow, it's I think the initial reaction I think from most animators when they're looking at they think that things are happening long they take longer than it actually does. But I mean, like, yeah, really things happen it's pretty quickly. Like you can keep it's almost about like layering in all those details. So where there's things moving slow, like the body's not moving at all, you want something inside there to move in pretty quickly. So those eye twitches, those little eye direction changes are some of my favorite things to animate when the person's standing still, because it communicates so much thought. Just when you're looking into the camera, just a little shift, just a little look up to the left, it just immediately gives the character more thought process, right? When you're thinking about things, and you kind of look over to the right or up or to the left and up, catching those little nuances, that's what shooting reference is really, really useful for. Not specifically always like the big gestures, because I think the big gestures you're going to do a lot of interpreting, but those little smaller nuance movements, the way somebody has a nervous, like a nervous tick where they they'll tap on their chin. Me personally, I have a tendency when I'm like focused on something, I will kind of play with my bottom lip a little bit. These things add character. These things add thought process. It gives the sense that the character is alive, right? And eye twitches are great for that as well too. Yeah, it's really nice, dude. It looks really, really good. It certainly can be, Samantha. That's probably true for all 3D software applications, though, so. What's got your goat? What's bugging you right now? Is it just being very crashy right now? Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not too familiar with physics. I mean, obviously some degree, but not. I don't think it would take me some time to even research and get a hold of, get a clean and comprehensive understanding of what it is you're actually trying to do. All I know is it's a very memory-intensive process. So anything you can do to reduce the amount of processing will probably help you in one way or another reduce Blender crashes. Yeah, RAM. I wanted to upgrade RAM too. Unfortunately, we're all gonna have to sit and wait until all these AI data centers and all these things are done being built before we are allowed to get back into computer upgrades and stuff. Although I heard some of these companies are getting in trouble right now. Yeah, I have heard that there's trouble on the horizon for some of these RAM providers. That they are manipulating the market because of this current situation right now, so. Yep. Well, the funny thing is because they've already done it before, so they have a history of doing this already in the last big bubble as well. Back in the early 2000s, they were caught doing something similar. So. Yeah, when it comes to these large corporations, I don't know. I don't just try not to think about them anymore. Anything I can do to separate myself as much as possible from these corporations is a good move in my view, as far as I'm concerned. Okay. Oh, thanks, Samantha. Yeah, it's a little more interesting to watch animation than it is to watch Unreal stuff. Yep. Just getting tired. I think I'm going to take another little short break. But, yeah, no, I'm doing good. Doing good. Yep, I'm doing good. Appreciate it. Thank you. Just energy is starting to. It's because it's so hot. Even with the, I don't like cranking the air conditioning, so because I don't mind a little bit of warmth, but it's these hot days, they sap you of your energy fairly quickly. Even when you are indoors, I can only imagine like that European heat. Is it settled out now? Is it cooled back down in Europe? You know, France was getting hit really hard in that heat wave. But yeah, it's tough to stay focused when you're like hot and you're sweaty. You're like this perpetual state of sweating. Yeah, it's still pretty hot over there, right? I'm gonna take another short break. I'll be back. Okay, let's wrap up this piece of animation. Okay. We'll go with that for now. Holy smokes, it is almost 9 o'clock. Got lost there for a second. Okay, got that stagger blocked in, kinda. Not particularly happy with the poses yet, but I got the basic timing down, so I think we can call that a stream. Thanks, Samantha. It was a productive day today. Yeah, dude. It's probably super late for you right now. I don't know how you can keep your eyes open this late. I guess when you're working a blender and you're interested in something, you can kind of just keep going. So, yes, you have a lovely evening. Have a great night, and maybe I'll see you tomorrow. I think I should be able to stream tomorrow. So. 2:40 is not that bad. I thought it was later for some reason. I thought it was like 4 or 5 in the morning for you, but 2:40 is not too bad. Not great, but all right, Samantha. I don't know who else is lingering around. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. I appreciate the support as always, and I will try my best to be on tomorrow. In fact, I will be on tomorrow for sure. All right. Have a great evening, guys. Cheers.